Hi guys, welcome back to part 2 of this video. I wanted to take my time to actually show you precisely how I mix my dough and make it into a yummy meat pie or Cornish pie. I hope you would enjoy. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you. For the 1 kg of flour you've seen there, I'm going to be using 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 250 grams, so 250 grams, 2 of it of salted butter. Remember, this is just salted butter, not the butter spread that you use for your bread. And 500 gram minced beef, like I showed you in part 1. Of course, you can use water or milk for the mixture, and then 1 egg, just to achieve some crusty taste in your meat pie. If you wanted to do less, for example 700 grams, which is half of that flour, you would need just half of the ingredients I've shown you in part 1 of this video. So from part 1 I showed you where I mixed my baking powder and salt into the flour to mix together. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder, because I'm using almost a full bag of flour. And I would go ahead and just add the salt and mix it. So this is when I then cut the salted cooking butter into tiny pieces. I'm cutting it in tiny pieces so I can actually properly mix it well into the flour. If you've got stronger hands than me, you can actually have bigger, cuts, but I go for smaller cuts. Normally I would need 250 grams, but I've just gone for less butter. We wanted to try something different this time around. I think I still needed a bit more butter in it, which I added some more from the stage. Do not use usual butter spread that you use for your bread. You just need this usual cooking butter, so you can then start to mix properly. Continue mixing it until you get this breaded crumbs. As you can see, it looks like the breadcrumbs that you would use to pat your fish, when you want to fry it, to have that crunchy taste on it. And make sure it's very well mixed. That's why I use a transparent bowl, so I can actually see under as well, to make sure there is no plain flour. Mix and continue to mix, basically. When you've achieved that, that's when you want to start thinking about putting water to then make your dough. Normally you can use your processor to then finish off or even do this bit, but I just prefer using my hand, just so I can get the actual quantity of liquid that I want to use. Maybe in my next video I'll probably use the machine so we can do it together. Tell me what you think and we can make that happen in a live video or something. So in this in this case I use whole milk. Some people would prefer to use just plain tap water, but I just love the taste of having some more fresh milk into my dough, so I use milk instead. Not evaporated milk, it's just the usual fresh milk we would normally get in our stores. So I continue to mix and add as much as I want, or until I get the consistency that I'm perfectly okay with. So you can just keep doing it until you get your perfect consistency and until you've been able to knead everything together. Just keep adding until you get the texture that you can see on your screen when I'm done. And then you can either make it softer, or tougher, like you'd prefer, whichever way you prefer. Yeah, make sure you wash your hands before you're doing this. If it tends to stick a lot, if you've probably added too much water, that's why I usually leave a little bit of flour in the bag, so you can use that, to remove any sticky bit that you've got in your hands. That's the consistency I like I mentioned, but just a tad bit, After that, I can just use the flour to pat down my hands to make it non-sticky. You'd see what I mean. Of course, this is just a slightly difficult bit because you need all your strength to do it, and that's why you've got the processor. If you want to use a processor to do it, I'll probably do it to show you what I mean in another video. As you can see, it's a bit sticky now. It doesn't matter, you've got some flour, you can use that to take out all these bits. And you just want, when you know that you've actually kneaded it properly, is when everything around the bowl has actually been collected into the big dough, and that's when you know you've actually achieved the consistency that you need. Just like you'll see me do, I'm trying to get everything on the corner of the bowl together. If I need more flour, I just use a tad bit more flour, just a little bit more flour. Remember to like, share and subscribe, guys. Thank you. Tell me in the comment section really what you think, and if there's a different method that you use as well for your video, for your meat pie. Now that I've achieved my perfect consistency the way I like it, some people don't like it this soft, but I just love it soft and sumptuous in the mouth. And that also gives you that Cornish pasta that we have in the UK as well, very soft and easy to chew. I then just cover it. You can cover it with clean cloth in your kitchen and put it in a dark place. In my case, in my microwave or the oven. But because I'm going to be using the oven, I just prefer to put it in microwave. And I leave it there for like 30 minutes just to, get it to rise, because we've added baking powder, remember, and all the ingredients just to get it to rise a bit. Now that it has risen to what I would prefer, I'd like it to, I can then start cutting into shapes that I would prefer. After 30 minutes, of course, I'm ready to cut like I showed, and then use the filling. I'm showing you the different cutters that I've got. Normally, you can use the pot cover, your smallest pot cover to cut, and then use the fork that you can see there to make the edge like we would normally do. But in this case, I've got a cutter. You can check the description box for this one that I bought on eBay. This is the biggest one, the red one, but I think we like the medium-sized meat pie in my home, so we've gone for medium-sized portions. The white one actually came from a different product that I had like 3 years ago. It's still the best. I just cannot find the bigger ones that came with it. So I've gone for the other colored ones that I saw on eBay, which still works. It still works, but I just prefer the white one, the way it's got the tin hands to close. Remember, wash your hands before you start to do this, please, or before you even started cooking or making all this in the first instance. I must have mentioned that you must have put your egg in a bowl, which is what I've got in my orange bowl there, with the brush that I would use when I cut this dough into the cutters and to put the filling. I just use that egg to create some crusty flavor at the edges before closing it. Now I'm just gonna knead and then use the kneading bar to roll it. The way this product is advertised, you're supposed to use the top to cut it up, but it doesn't really work for me, so I just put it below and then use a knife to cut around it. And so when I put my filling and close it, I can then remove the leftover. So now I've put the filling from my part 1 video, which you already seen. And of course, I've put some egg around it, just to give it that crusty taste when you're eating it. And I can just cut off the rest and put it aside for another pie. So you get this beautiful shape, and you can then start to put it in your pan. I've put my baking paper already, so I can then start to arrange it. It's quite therapeutic, you know. So I do this normally on a Sunday evening when everyone's had dinner, and you know, we're just chilling to listen to the last information of the day before the new week begins. So it's quite therapeutic for me. So when you put in the filling, you want to put just enough so that you can have this closed properly. You just want to put like a tablespoon in this medium size, and you really want it to close. Of course, you can see me just putting the egg on the edges. It gives you that crunchy taste. And then you press it hard enough such that it can allow you cut off the excess. So I'm just going to quicken this bit then. So as you can see, just because when I cut this dough, I cut just almost half of it, and that's almost like 700 grams. And you can see how much I've got on my tray. So a small family, even like mine, it's just that I love to put a lot in the freezer. You can actually go for half flour bag and use half the ingredients and just make enough for your oven, really. And that will still be very enough, because after mixing all this, I still had a lot left. Which it doesn't really matter to me, because I'll do a lot more, like having some dim sum steamed, just like the Chinese dim sum you know about. Let me know if you want to actually see me do that. It's quite yummy snack as well, using the flour mix, of course. I just use some flour on the cutter, just, you know, because you've had lots of dough on it. Sometimes it just starts to become sticky, so I just put some flour to keep it dry. It's up to you, really. At this time, the first pan is already full with the medium size. I just go for the smaller one now to start to add a bit, just to fill up the pan and not waste my dough. Of course, my daughter likes this smaller sections or smaller bits. I too love it, you know, not having to eat a lot at once. Very little filling. The only disadvantage is you get very little filling in it, but it's still just perfect. And you see why I love it better than the others? It's got tiny hands that you can just, you know, use without having to manipulate a lot, like the other colorful one. And that's why I love it. I wish I found my bigger ones, really. Look at how beautiful it is. I just love this particular product. I just can't find it anymore. I would have just put a link below. I finished with the first tray. I just like to get it ready and then start to, you know, cut for the next tray. So Just before I do that, I just start to, use the fork to put some holes in it. It's just for decoration and to give it some room to rise in it, And after doing that, I just use the egg to layer on top again, and that's just to help it have a crusty taste and browning when you've put it in the oven and when it's well baked. You could see what I mean at the end. Like I said, this is really therapeutic for me. I don't know about you guys. Just tell me, is it therapeutic for you when you're doing it? Have you liked this video as well? Well, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you. So now I finished the second one as well. I just wanted to cut the video short here. I've still got lots of dough left, so I just wanted to, do a bit of smaller ones. It's Christmas coming, so I just wanted to play around with it until the time comes. Maybe I'll find bigger cutters and just do this, fanciful method with my daughter. That would be cool. Yeah. Just find some spaces to put it in. So that's half of my fillings left, which I'll be making, some more over the weekend, next weekend, just to have some more in the freezer. It's December coming, lots of visitors, so I would love to do a lot more. I just wanted to cook it once. You really do not need to do this, so that's why I said 1 pack of minced, 500-gram minced beef is enough for you. And as you can see, when you're doing this bit, so that's it in the oven. When you place it in the oven, you want to set it to about 170 degrees. Before that, you just need to preheat your oven as well to 170 degrees. And then once you've preheated it, allow it to bake for about 45 minutes or until when you've got your preferred brown shade. And this is, I've already done a bit of it really. I cut that bit out, but as you can see, it's coming out nicely. At 170 degrees, it's really coming out nicely. You don't really need to do so much with this. Just as soon as it's browning, it's just perfect already. For me, you can see I still had some light shaded ones there, so I just waited for another 5 minutes just to get a bit more brown shade on mine. And voila! Your perfect meat pie or Cornish pastries that you can serve anyone in your home, your family, visitors, and even festive season. Use it to serve people during the festive period. That would be so nice, something for you to try. Of course, half of this goes into the freezer because we don't want it, staying in the fridge. We're not going to finish this, and it can last you up to 4 months when you put it in the freezer. And that's it. Please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Share to your friends and family. Some people really want to see this to, have something going for Christmas this year. It's been a tough 2020/2021, so something to put a smile on people's faces will be so nice. You can give to neighbors as well. Drop your comments below as well. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you. See you later.